Welcome, Supreme Commanders. Today's 12 players averaging 2,150 go head-to-head on a unique map given us to us by the old Neroxis AI map gen. And while we get this one underway, guys, straight on into it, I do want to address just one comment that I've had lately from someone who seemed to be quite upset and had directed their anger towards yours truly. Now, I'm not going to go into details and specifics as to who it is, but I would like to say that, just for those who maybe aren't aware, that I do not ban or delete comments, okay? So what he basically said was that there'd been some banter on one of the videos and that I had favoured one group of people over another with banter, which is just complete nonsense. And so I decided, you know what, I'm going to give this guy the benefit of the doubt and just have a little look on my YouTube held for review. Those of you that have ever done a YouTube channel know you get all your comments go through and a few of them get held for review. There was only one comment in the entire thing that was held for review, and it was from this guy who was very upset about me having deleted a comment. And I thought, well, if he's upset at me having deleted a comment and he's basically unloading some unpleasant remarks in this comment, I get why this one was held for review. What about the original comment then? Because I certainly didn't delete it and it's not held for review. And so I've done a little bit of digging, and what turns out is that aside from the YouTube channel itself, whether it's me or anybody deciding to delete or block somebody from being able to comment, YouTube will automatically delete comments, i.e. its bots will do this, that it deems violates its own terms and services, which include things like spam, harassment, or hate speech, regardless of how much liked or not the comment was, or the wishes of the channel, or even if the comment was meant in jest or whatever, the bot can't tell the difference, okay? That's first thing. Now, second thing, and this is what I knew nothing about, and I do want to share this as well, that, you know, you can upvote and downvote a comment where you see the upvotes the comment has, but you don't see how many downvotes it has. Well, apparently, if somebody posts a comment and it receives a large number of downvotes, regardless of anything else, that comment may also be hidden from view from others. It doesn't say how many likes or dislikes the comment needs to have or what the ratio is, etc. That information wasn't available, just simply that this can happen. And as such, that I recommend that any banter in the comments section, which I do encourage, and certainly I do not favour my British friends, anybody from anybody can have, you know, a bit of friendly banter in there. I encourage it. I really do. Just make sure you keep it bot friendly. Remember, the bot can't always tell if you're joking or not. And so with all of that said and done, let's jump on into today's game. As always, guys, if you found that intro a little bit too long, you thought, yeah, I'm not really interested, just want into the game, do be aware I do make use of chapters which will have allowed you to skip that bit. I just wanted to make that absolutely clear for anybody who perhaps wasn't aware. And as we bring the game sounds in today, let's have a quick look at the map as we zoom out. We'll unpause. We'll certainly have to slow this one down just a tad. There we go. As of course, we've got 12 players. Again, averaging 2150 per team as well. So not only is it 2150 average, it's 2150 a team, which kind of makes sense if it's both of them, right? Okay, so let's make a start then over on team one, which today is up top in the left, which is nice the way it should be. And we'll start in the central position, I think, and work our way back. And then clockwise is Esperanto. This guy's featured quite prominently on the channel lately. 2300 Cybran there in maroon going first land. Moving then into the back slot for Team 1, no doubt doing air, is Turbo 2, 2200 rated in UEF. This guy also going first land there in orange. All right, clockwise round then for Team 1 in back. In pink is Shisato, 2500 Aeon, also going first land there. We've seen a lot of Shisato lately as well. Moving down in cyan is F. Odin. I think we'll just call him Odin for simplicity. Coming in at a paltry 1900 rated. His the second lowest on his team, just to give you an idea of just how highly skilled this one is. Of course, 1900 is a very high rating indeed there. Going also first on there is UEF. Moving round to the second, I guess you could argue both of these teams have got two front positions. The second forward position there is Balanced Slave, not Balanced Slave Noob, but Balanced Slave. I sometimes think some of these guys play around with their names a little bit and chop and change. You can view name history, but some people change their names like 30 and 40 times. It's ridiculous. Not sure if Balanced Slave or Balanced Slave Noob is the same guy, but either way, he's Aeon, he's 2200, and he's gone first land there in Lilac. And then last but not least for Team 1 is Delhi, the 1800 rated there Aeon, also going first land in green. Just off to the deli for some... They did away with a deli at our local supermarket, which is a little bit unfortunate. What they did right, the supermarket moved in, it knocked all the independent traders in town out of business. And then as soon as they'd done that, it's like, right, job done, let's shut the deli and everybody can just buy packed meat from now on. And yeah, well, I guess it serves us right a little bit, doesn't it? All right, moving on over to Team 2 on the south side in this sort of weird khaki colour. The Wheelie going Seraphim there, first land, 2400, so about the highest rated as it gets. Moving to his north, Jagged Appliance, 2200 rated, also going Seraphim, also going first land there in electric blue. We'll continue round clockwise. Over here is Trithe in 1800 UEF. Can but try. Oh, I knew somebody that said that. Can but try. Dear. Trithe, though not try, but Trithe, 1800 there, UEF, going first land in grey there. To his south in white, playing no doubt air, is FTX Commando, as some of the players decide to pause and then unpause in. Well, looks like he swapped over. And so somebody taking over air there is looks like Resi Noob, who was previously doing air, is swapping with FTX Commando, who was previously on the line. And to confuse matters even worse, FTX Commando, rather than heading back to his newfound base, is continuing to go forward. So to confuse matters there, let's introduce Resi Noob down here, seeing as he was the one that initially started this position there in Aeon, 2100 in Ferrari red there, having gone first land and then swapping over with somebody on the front line. Further clockwise then, in deep purple down here is Bloodeer, the only 2500 rated, with Shisato, certainly the only 2500 rated on his team, and the joint highest rated player there in the game, also going Aeon. Interestingly enough, Shisato on the opposite team is also going Aeon. So the two highest rated players certainly think there's something to this faction. But after that, very high rated players seem to be liking the Seraphim and also a lot as well, like the Wheelie there. So I don't know, perhaps there's something with those factions. And last but not least then, in Ferrari red, Resi Noob, as we saw there, who's been handed over the base to FTX Commando, who instead of going in back is going balls to the wall forward there, the 1900 rated UEF player in white. Okay, so not entirely sure. As we've seen before, this is always a little bit dangerous if you're going front without any units to support you. Never always a good thing for your life expectancy or health overall. And with that, all the players introduced, we'll resume back to full pace. First scout coming over here from Balanced Slave. First little look at something of what's going on the other side of the team. We'll see what the other side here. I set up an arty base here, guys, and I assume that's from Jagged. It's kind of difficult to tell, actually, these colours. Oh, I've messed it up now by clicking on it and trying to move it myself. Either way. Little raiding party over here from Odin. Trithe says, oh, no, you don't. Bags himself the scout. Odin very quick off the mark, though. Redirects his remaining light assault bot. Of course, he won't be aware necessarily that there's engineers right here. And there you see why not, having no intel and so forth. But does bag himself potentially this mass point. Oh, he's deciding, do you know what? There's got to be an NG round here somewhere. He moves off again. Oh, that was so close. That would be a nice target, that radar. And he does get it. I'm not entirely sure how long the Southern team are going to leave this engineer, this light assault bot roaming around looking for an engineer. Some air engages there, picking on scouts. Very nice. And as you'd expect, players at this skill level, scouts all over the shop. Engineer down here. Sorry, beg your pardon. Yeah, engineer going down there to another bomber, thanks to Balance Slave, who's so far got himself 2. And both of these guys in a bit of a micro war and a hover bomb war. But Commando there says, no, you don't, and then hands over the aircraft, donating them, perhaps so he can deal with any future bombers there with a solitary interceptor. Seeing that more and more, players of a sort of high-level caliber just handing over individual units, just like the occasional ASF or the occasional interceptor, you know, just as if to say, look after this, and if you get one of these pesky bombers over, you deal with your own situation. Let me focus on the bigger picture. So this is one of these examples I was on about. We see FTX Commando, of course, handed over base and has gone to the front. Is one-on-one versus this commander, but with no land units. Balance Slave with the land. You can see here how that's very detrimental to the commander there. Caught with his pants down a little bit by himself. So far, front line looking relatively stable. It's like Odin perhaps pushing slightly through the 50-way mark, but only just. Could argue the 50-way is right about there. A minor run by, but with the commander here from Jagged, I'm sure he could plug that gap pretty quick. He's also got a point defense to retreat to, and so that's going to keep him quite safe then with that Odin in the drink. Getting himself the gun upgrade there. That's UEF. Very nice. Gets that on the way in 6 minutes. Again, more air and run bys down here. Quite a few mass points down here. Balance Slave with a lovely little run by with his couple of Auroras. And that mass point there has just been rebuilt. So 1, 2, 3, 4 mass points there having gone down. Thanks to just, as best I can tell, a couple of Auroras. There may have been 1 or 2 more run by that are now a little lacking. Is he going to finish? I'm sure he will finish that one. And he is. There he goes. So that's at least 5 mass points from a couple of Auroras there. Looks like spot of bother over here with these two commanders, Balance Slave and Wheelie, both sub 1000, and they're in each other's splash damage range, so it doesn't really matter who kills who, why or how. Either way, it's an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, and suddenly the world was blind and nobody could eat. 22 for a 24. And with that, it's a 5 versus 5. I'd argue that ever so slightly benefiting Team 1, who got 200 rating points more out of that trade. Tell you what, though, Odin, he got pretty quick with that gun upgrade, comes up top, puts to bed that little point defense there that we saw Jagged Appliance set up. Speaking so fondly of that just 30 seconds ago, and now it's gone. And again, this is going to be obvious to everybody who's above average, but to those who are still a little newer to this game, lead the charge with the commander and bring your units in tow like this. And then you've always got somewhere to retreat behind if things look a little dicey, and your commander gets all the vet, you know, gets all the first dibs at all the targets he's shooting at. The last thing you want to be is up the front with a commander without units, certainly when you're surrounded by 2 opponents with units of their own. Quick explore elsewhere. It's like bloody it. Over here, deciding to do a little bit of Navy. Going down there with his commander. Perhaps a little fearful of being sniped. Not entirely obvious why he would be residing in the water there with a full health commander that's unupgraded. Certainly as Aeon. Sometimes you can understand a Cybran one being there with the torpedo launcher. So I can only assume that. And now we've got fighter bomber snipe from Esperanto going after the mass production facilities. Look how many mass points are missing. There from the southern team. Got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Arguably 11 mass points there. And the fighter bombers have not yet finished. There's still 4 of them here. There's another one here. And Rezi's missed it. Ping's going down. And it looks like they're going to go for the power generation facilities of FTX Commando. That is going to hurt. 2 of them going down. Sure, there's one there that's almost finished. Oh. And he gets a shield online to preserve some of the engineers. Let's have a quick look. What's that done to his income? Well, is he stalling? He's fast heading that way. Sure, his team's going to be spilling a little bit. Does then get himself the all-important first Tech 2 online. And the second one there, although heavily damaged, well, it was destroyed, but the wreck itself was heavily damaged, so it's not quite 50%, but it was certainly over 25. Nice recovery there. Again, FTX Commando slightly below the average on this game, despite his high rating, recovering quickly. And so here we nice see this. Jagged and Odin at each other, and you can see here what's happening. Commander on commander trying to keep the units apart. And so here we see Odin. He's got to back his units off away from this commander. Can't allow this commander to get too many free kills. And you see how he's doing it. He's moving his commander over here to intercept while pulling his units away. And once again, we're left with this one-on-one commander situation. Perhaps a little bit of a snipe attempt there on Jagged. 2 or 3 gunships from up top, although Jagged, wise to that, already had a flak online. And so the gunships redirect decide, oh well, we'll pick on Trive instead then. And they thought, well, we've only got 1 gunship, so we'll go after something a little more. And Corsair fighter bomber once again from Esperanto. How many's he got over here? Well, he's got at least 11, and he's got a few more trickling across. Where are they going to go? For the Tech 3 land HQ belonging to Bloodier. Oh, it's going to be close. Oh my goodness, with 47 hit points left. Bloodier keeps it online. They swing back round. And they do take it out on the second pass, despite the lightning tank that was in the area. Jobs are good in there. Lightning tank with 5 kills thus far. Anybody got any ideas why they call it a lightning tank? I haven't been able to figure it out. Holding over here. Oh! Jagged Appliance with just 160 hit points there. Backs off. What killed my bomber, says Turbo 2. I don't know. But I'm just wondering, did the North team pick up on the fact how heavily damaged Jagged was? Well, apparently not. Instead, it's Jagged that gets Odin dealt the damage. And now Trithen a spot of bother as the Corsair snipe once again from Esperanto. Quite often was a thing rushing the Cybran Corsair. Plus the missiles very accurate and fire out ahead. Don't gotta wait for the plane to pass overhead. And now with a lot of flaks over here, as well as some air from the southern team. I'm not entirely sure he's gonna bag himself. The commander there gets away just over 5,900 hit points. And again, nice little tickling raids here. 9 raids there from Delhi. This time Tech 2. Although it looks like Resi Noob is going in to deal with that up close and personal. Ellie thinks, okay, time to try and side skirt this guy. Let's back off. That's a lot of shots there. Bloody's there to pick up the pieces anyways. Still, it was a nice probing attack, and they bag themselves the Navy Yard as well there belonging to Bloody. So that was probably more important than any of the mass points. Certainly don't want to allow your opponent to get into Navy when you're not thinking of doing so. Certainly when, I don't know, it could be very dangerous. If you get some cruisers on here, that's going to be a lot of the map out of action for your opponent. As well as a lot of anti-air coverage. For now, Esperanto going from strength to strength. Instead of the Corsair snipes, is moving in with land and belonging to the Aeon as well, the old Harb. Although Resi Noob on the case, shadowing it with his force of Titans there. And Bloody here with Restorers. And that's going to encourage an air engage. Esperanto with his ASF. Initially going for the Restorers, then backs off, goes for the air belonging to FTX Commando. Brushes that aside. And then Esperanto bears witness to the lightning tank and thinks, alright, sod this, I'm out of here. Restorer or no. And a bit of a counter-attack here from Jagged Appliance. First time we've seen the Southern team break through the midway point with any sort of numbers. Forward structures there belonging to Esperanto. Mass points. Factories going down. What's this? Scout. Tech 3 Scout. Shame to lose that to a bunch of Tech 1 artillery. Just got ourselves a Tech 2 radar system, and looks like Esperanto once again to the rescue. Pinstering in from both sides. Some Tech 1 here, some Harbs here. And I think that will put all of that artillery to bed. Does have a couple of chickens in the mix there, does Jagged. I think he's too heavily outnumbered there thanks to those Harbs. Little run by in the meantime from Trive. And what we got here, some of this is Tech 2. Got some pillars as well as tanks. I don't know what he's deciding to do there. I don't think he can get out now. Esperanto closed that door. I guess it's just a case of how far back and how much damage can you get out of this. And so far, not very much. Do bag themselves a Tech 1 transport. This run by here, you know, is not inflicting any great damage, but is causing a lot of bother. I mean, look at the size of the army that's pursuing it. You've got 5, 6 Harbs here as well as a bunch else. And so again, in my opinion, this run by from Trive has been far more effective by pulling units out of position than it has in terms of damage. Sure, it got itself a couple of Tech 1 engineers there. As far as I'm aware, hasn't gotten a single mass point yet. May get itself a Tech 1 mass point, but again, it's the value of pulling units out of position where it's at, really. And Bloody, once again, he's working on this ball of Restorers. It's not quite yet a ball, but you can see that seems to be the way it's going. More and more Restorers. And the best way to deal with Restorers is lots of flak. As I've always said, one Restorer will beat one flak. 100 Restorers versus 100 flak, and the flak will win. So this is only cost effective up to a certain size. Again, you can't litter the map everywhere with flaks. It's but again, the rock paper scissors narrative, or analogy rather, bears true. And I really like what Bloody is doing here. Some real nice raiding there, looking after his Restorers, getting what he can, bagging himself a bunch of Tech 2 mass points there. He's got at least 3 or 4 of them so far. And here we're starting to see some flak there from Delhi. And again, just trickling them in. But there's enough of them here, I think, to dissuade Bloody here. And look at that, he brings his more heavily damaged restorers out first, and then the higher health ones second. That was a stroke of genius. Again, that's something you're only ever going to see 2,000 rated plus players do in the heat of the moment with the air. Split the air force up. Nice little drop here from Resi Noob. Put some UEF mobile artillery up on the plateau. And that's going to force Deli, or at least somebody on his team, to send some air here, because that's the only way you're going to deal with that up on the plateau. No other access. We've finally gotten a Soul Ripper online as well from Esperanto. This looks like it's taken some damage so far. It's got itself 5 kills. And what's we got on the back here? Another Soul Ripper under construction. Does feel that these units have been nerfed a little bit since I first saw them 15 years ago or so. They seem to put out a lot more, seem to be a lot more deadly back then. And I guess that's perhaps why Esperanto is so careful looking after it. Nice little counter-attack here from Deli. Pushes Bloodier back behind the 50-way mark again. And looks like Jagged Appliance happy to put a wall up on 50 and say, this is your side, that's mine. Deli trying to get more and more flax up on the line. And Bloodier just doing these little attacks as and when he can. He doesn't want to let these flax reach critical mass. And perhaps this here is critical mass. We'll have to see. And there goes one of the restorers there. There goes a second. And I think, yeah, that is going to be something that makes Bloodier think twice about moving restorers in. Of course, could have just been a ploy while he switches gears to something else. Got a few restorers here from Deli as well. That's the Soul Ripper on the line. Deli and Esperanto clearly playing as one here, nice and cohesive. Looks like Resi, after the initial drop up there with those military units, has gotten himself an engineer there. Builds a shield, going for a SAM site. And that's going to cause the North team to have to work at this spot a little bit. Getting a second SAM site online. He's also gotten himself a Cougar there as well. And now a donut. The first donut here from Shisato has perhaps been a little bit quiet of late. Well, here's why. Working on some food for the NYPD. First one. And it's pink. And these have just got the most horrendous range I've ever seen on. Yeah, you look at that. This scout here and the donut from over here fired at it. And here we see the second Soul Ripper there from Esperanto joining the first one. It's repping up 75 hit points a second. Perhaps Esperanto a little slow to retake some of his mass points. A couple of cruisers here from Trith, the old UEF in grey. Again, these are able to put down long-range missiles, which is very nice. But perhaps not so good when you've got a UFO bearing down on you. And if we see there the SAMs firing up at the UFO, does manage to take out about half of the shield. If you look at that UFO, and the shield is now fully completed, and that, thanks to some of these Cougars as well, does inflict a little bit of damage on the UFO. So the shield down entirely, a little bit of damage, and in exchange bags himself the 2 cruisers there, long into Trith. And now a GC from Resi Noob. Lots of air, lots of ground, lots of experimentals. Look at that, the harp continuing to fire as it's getting sucked up. I've never noticed that before. I don't know if that's a new thing that the developers put in, or just I haven't been paying attention. well enough. But it's nice to see. Perhaps it's only a certain type of unit. Certainly the Harbs seemed to be firing as they were getting tractor beamed up. GC so far 37 kills, 15,200 mass. And Esperanto moves in Soul Rippers. And the first one there that's already heavily damaged, eating an awful lot of Cougar fire. He's going to want to pull that one out. GC gets itself surrounded. Best thing it can do is swarm it. Few restorers as well, but look at this masterful play from Resi, holding the Cougars back just far enough to avoid any of this fire and allowing them all to just unleash huge amounts of plasma fire. It's like this is the modern version of the Shilka. Those of you that don't know what it is, it's this Russian radar-guided anti-air battery that just fills the sky with lead wherever the radar sees the enemy plane being. And that replaced lead with plasma, and there's your Cougar. Now 2 UFOs there from Shisato, 2 Soul Rippers. And Jagged Appliance getting right aggressive. Got himself Rambocom up front, does break through the line. Decides, you know what, I know I said 50 ways, but I'm deciding it's time to go further. We'll do away with that treaty. And suddenly finds himself with 4 flying experimentals bearing down on him. And I don't think he's got enough anti-air and shields here. There he is. He's bit off a little more than he can chew, no pun intended, as the donut finally defeats him. Shisato now with the 3rd donut on display. Small Silver Lining does bag himself one of the Soul Rippers with all that anti-air capability there, and with it Bloodia takes over control of yet another base. With that, 25 minutes 30 seconds, it's a 4 versus 4. And again, this is what I'm talking about. This hideous range, these UFOs. I mean, just look at the range of this SAM. I'm saying SAMs. They're not SAMs, are they? They're air-to-air missiles, but... oh my goodness. Ping's going down. Like, yeah, you can't eat all of this fire indefinitely. Again, the Cougars here from Resi just preventing too many of these units from the top team going too far down. It's a lot of flak, a lot of walk-in SAM sites. That's kind of forcing these UFOs from Shisato here to just hang around where they are. And you can see the missile, the air-to-air missiles from these UFOs far outranging the SAM missiles from the ground. And it looks like between the 3 of them, they're able to pretty much one-shot anything that strolls into range. Quick look over here, Resi with yet another GC, flanked with a shed load of shields, engineers, flaks, walk-in SAM sites, then decides to spin back round. I'm not entirely sure why he turned against. Huge amount of reclaim there. Falling into the coffers of Delhi. Has been able to benefit from that GC. Using the old factory attack move. Benefiting from the engineer's enhanced rage. A little bit of a run by there from Bloodia. It's got lightning tanks as well as some other units. And what was that? Is that a Billy? I think that might have been a Billy Newt going off there. Let's have a little look. Here's UEF Trive, and indeed he has. He's got him send a Billy. I always like to be Tech 3 as UEF before going Billy, just to enable me to reload a bit quicker. And look at that. Beautiful team play. Chisato's Donuts pulled out of position there to deal with that run by. And Bloodia exploiting the gap left by the lack of the UFOs there, and brings his Restorers as well as his Air Force in there. And large Air Force from FTX Commando as well. A couple of the Restorers there getting a little too close to the old donut going down. And Resi Noob now trying to pressure some of this away with a huge surface to air contingent mobile SAM site here. I don't believe it. All of these experimentals are actually frightened of this handful of Tech 3 and Tech 2 there from Resi. They're backing off and backing off. Yet another donut out there from Shisato. But Bloody looking like he's very, very strong on the ground now. And I realise there's been so much action going around all over the map. It's been difficult to take a look at the ecos. And so let's take a look at the map as a whole real quick while we do delve into that real quick. 2,700 per tick for Team 2 versus 2,000 per tick for Team 1. And so slight advantage there for the southern team, at least for now. 700 mass per tick. See, it's just dropped to 2.6. Overalls 1.73 million versus 1.85, also favouring Team 2. So the team at the bottom there faring slightly better overall, not quite 10%, but above the 5% mark that we see so often. They've still got this large squad of UFOs. Don't forget, each one of these is shielded in addition to its own health. There's a large squad of ASF there from Shisato. He's at 2,500, and he's got at least a couple of the old Soul Rippers, thanks to Esperanto as well. Well, Fatty and GC is always a nice mix. GC, of course, close range fire as well as the Omni sensor. And the Fatty laying down the fire is enough to make the Mega from Esperanto run away. I'm kind of surprised he is running away. That forces Delhi back, but leaves Delhi's base wide open once again. Bloody with a nice little raid down here. Certainly looks like Delhi's got the numbers there to deal with that. Harbs as well as some gunships. What I'm really concerned about here is this push through. And it looks to me Bloody is concerned about two things: air staging beacons, surface to air missiles, walk-in SAM sites, restorers, and that to some extent is going to negate this insane amount of UFOs here that Shisato's got. Now 6 of them. And I think there we saw a target for the Billy Nuke. Here it comes. Is it going to connect? Oh, it might bag itself a load of air and all. Goes off nice. Shisato with lightning reactions there. Picks up his air. But the damage was already done. And I've always maintained, you know, the Billy is a brilliant defensive weapon. You know, large groups of Tech 2, Tech 3 coming your way. Billy. Sure, if your opponent lands a bunch of ASF in range, Billy that and all. Now 6 donuts going against all of this. Oh, and then very clever play there from Shisato. Brings all the donuts together in one, making targeting of individual donuts difficult. Makes it hard for the opponent to pick off heavily damaged donuts, and puts out maximum amount of damage in the immediate area for the minimum surface area. But FTX Commando's got numbers here. Together with Restorers from Blodia. Sure, Shisato's bringing in another donut, but one of them there dropping out the sky. And there he splits them off for a little bit. Got to focus somewhere, and this feels like where it really matters. Splits them off again, and that's going to enable Commando to pick off the weakest. There goes the second. And if he was smart, he would have chained up the third. And there it goes. And did he get the fourth? Has he got the numbers to bag it? It's going to be close. Yes, he does. And he may even get 5. Together with these lightning tanks from Bloody, and he does. Oh my goodness. That was 7 donuts. Suddenly there were 2. These must be New York policemen playing down here. Going through them like no tomorrow. Which I just did an intro about not being or saying things that could be deemed to be offensive. And here I am having a pop at our friends across the pond. Perhaps it's just rumour that the police like eat donuts. Who knows? All that I know is Chisato had 7. And 6 of them are littering the landscape. He's only got 1 left. Esperanto does manage to keep his Soul Rippers online. He's still got 2 of those, together with this megalith down here. Let's have a quick look at air numbers overall. 398 versus 275, favouring Team 1. So the North team overall have got more air. That doesn't distinguish between ASF or Broadsword, Restorer, even Scouts. So does perhaps give us an initial indication. If the top team work together, they've got air. But Bloody, with this insane amount of walking SAM site, again, it is forcing the air to remain at arm's length. Once again, just trickling a few units over here, causing Delhi a bit of a nightmare. Monkey Lord there does get itself a chicken that strays a little close, but now the Ion Storm, it's at risk of finishing off that heavily damaged Monkey Lord. Looks like he's going to get it out of range. And that Ion Storm actually causing more damage to Bloody than anybody else. These are all lightning tank. The sniper tanks there, beg your pardon, as well as the lightning tanks. But the Soul Reapers over here taking a lot of damage from it. These have gotten very little done. And Resi Noob goes down. Apologies for missing out. I'm not sure if he did quit or if he was attacked or sniped. Somebody can let us know. I did see some of the air there from FTX Commando in the area. It's potentially he was trying to deal with a strat snipe coming from the side. Now a defense sat over the area from Turbo 2. Oh, and I like that. Going for the sniper bots. That is huge. That is a defense sat used as a defense sat. Lovely, lovely work. Fatty retreating here from Delhi. There's an army with a Fatty of its own belonging to Bloody. Pushes forward. Does have a megalith as well as a monkey bearing down on it. Monkey is very heavily damaged. Only halfway towards its 2nd rank of vet. 1 more hit. Surely that's going to go down. And there it goes. Leaves Megalith and Fatty. But Delhi's base. It's his 2nd base. He was handed this one here. Looking like it ain't going to be alive too much longer. I like how he's using his Fatty. Keeping it out of range, but continuously able to lay down fire. Defense sat over here from Turbo 2, helping his pal out as well. And Delhi perhaps getting a little close. Armoured command unit there. Tech 2 with Raz preset. And Bloody says, right, have some of that. And with that, at 36 minutes, it's a 3 versus 3. Chisato once again bringing donuts in. Oh, this time, TX Commander with a donut of his own. Does that got any kills yet? Yes, it does. 9. And how many donuts we got here from Chisato? 4. And there's another one coming up. Air there handed off to FTX Commando. So again, real nice team play. Keep the air player controlling air cohesively. And Bloody, despite being up against numerous UFOs and a team that's got air superiority, at least on paper, is pushing through. Well beyond 50 ways. Fatty's over here dueling with some of the Rumby's over there. They're going to put that to bed without any bother. But these fatties are going to need to redirect over here. Got a chicken leading the charge. And a bunch of seed tanks, lightning tanks, sniper bots, and Lord knows what else in tow. Esperanto tries to send Megalith on the side. Looks like that's just going after engineers there from Bloodier, looking to capitalize on all of this wreckage. And yet another huge air engage. And that's about 5 or so UFOs laying down a laser all on the same spot. Just start moving them as one, then splits them off. And it's 6 again already, with the 7th just a few moments away. And those UFOs, well, that is going to evaporate that army there belonging to Bloodier. And with that, we get a little desync there. Did check it. It's Wheelie. He's already dead. So I think we can let that go. We see there, Wheelie has quit. So shouldn't have any impact on the game whatsoever. Perhaps losing connection himself after his death and having to be injected from the game in a non-normal way. Who knows? Either way, another Billy Newt coming in. Where is this guy? Let's have a quick look. Try. There he is. Oh, how loose and fast is that? Flying himself around the Tech 3 transport. Sure, there's a lot of anti-air over here. I'm sure Shisato could snipe him right quick, good and proper if he felt like it. Again, just masterful play here from the fatties. Keeping them at range, but keeping them firing. And it looks like the Donut's taking a dislike to the GC. Oh, look at that. That should have been the screenshot. Aeon on Aeon. Bam! Face falls into the dirt there, and Shisato with yet another UFO. How many's he got? Well, sometimes it's easier to count than others. There's 8 of them right there. At least 8. There we see it quite clearly. 8 of them, together with his Air Force. And that makes Bloodier think twice. Backs off a little bit, as well as the 2 megaliths here from Esperanto. And that is going to make him think twice. I'd like him to deal with these static artillery pieces here. Trying to get a mass there from Trive. Oh, and fighter bomber snipe from Trive. Goes after the heavily damaged megalith first. And he bags it. The Tech 2 UEF fighter bombers. Laying down the napalm. They switch to the second megalith. That's heavily damaged. Megalith does bag itself. Thankfully, the chicken bot, so it wasn't entirely for naught. Again, masterful play there from our UEF friend. The lowest rated player in the game, incidentally. Certainly isn't playing like it. Just sat now moving his massive donut squad in. All 8 of them. The amount of anti-air that this can put out is just insane. The fact he can move it anywhere across the map quite quickly. Here's another donut that's ready. So that's 9. Sure, their only susceptibility is to a huge amount of flak and anti-air coverage. And we see here, Bloodier has that. FTX Commando looks like, do you know what? That ain't a bad idea. I'm going to have some of that. And he's working on donuts himself. So there's 4 there. There's a 5th coming up there belonging to Commando. So if I'm reading this right, 2 more donuts back here plus the 8 here. That's 15 donuts on screen right now. If I zoom out, there we go. I'm not sure if that was a Billy Newt there from Trith, but if it was, I think it did Bloodier more harm than good, which is his own team. Outside Bloodier says, you know, this base, we didn't finish it off before. I think we can have a look at another look at doing that now. course, Delhi is out the game. It was previously the guy responsible for this side of the map for Team 1. And Bloody together with Trive busting through the lines here. I'm just wondering, like, a 2500 rated player who has got 10, if not 11 donuts under his command is on the losing team. I mean, look at Bloody by himself is sat on at least 50% of the map. Once you add his team on, that makes it at least 75% of the map. And yet you've got a 2500 with 10 donuts. And he's losing. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I beg your pardon. It's 11 donuts. Well, you've seen it here first. Together with the fatties there from Turbo 2. Bloody just relentless. And there we see another donut dropping out the sky there belonging to Shisato due to the just overwhelming. Look at it. The amount of ground to air fire, whether it's flak, whether it's missile guided, whether it's plasma, or Lord knows what else. It is being pummeled into the sky. And Shisato's donuts are the only ones on the receiving end. Just look at it all. And then a Billy nuke right in the middle of it and all. FTX Commando is picked off due to a tele-snipe there from Esperanto, who's jumping in, gets himself 5-star and jumps out. Where's Esperanto now? In the drink over here. Lovely pick. And that now makes it a 3 versus 2, minute 43. Problem for the North team, Team 1. It's just more and more stuff into the 2500 rated. And Bloody and now with so much air, as well as lightning tanks, as well as UFOs that were previously under control of FTX Commando. And he's chugging them away. He's got so much build capacity, so much resources he can afford to chuck away. Of course, being a huge beneficiary of all these wrecks. 633,000 mass reclaimed from Team 1. Over 500,000 for Team 2. But the income is now 3,000 mass per tick to the Southern team. Almost 2-1 ahead. And Bloody now strings in strap bombs. And the last one to make it through. Finally picks off Shisato there. 43 minutes, 50 seconds. Sniped. Sniped indeed. Good game, well played, says Shisato. Very good game. Very well played. And like that, it's a 2 versus 2. Turbo and Esperanto averaging 2,250 versus Bloody and Trive. Good game, guys, says Trive. Trive, did he go down to all these defense sats? Or what's he called it? Sorry about the max. Sorry about the mechs too. And with that, surrender. Turbo knows the writing's on the wall. Ladies and gentlemen, what a fantastic game. 44 minutes, 29 seconds. I do hope you enjoyed that one very much. And until next time from me, remember to keep it friendly in the comments section. Again, not censoring anybody, but there's nothing I can do about the terms and conditions that YouTube place on anybody, not just this channel. But until next time from me, wherever in the world you may be, take care. Bye-bye.